Kenya, and Dr. Joseph Owino of Pwani University, Kenya.
The theme of this symposium is the issues in artificial intelligence, a philosophical interrogation. Sub-themes that we shall tackle include metaphysics, anthropology, ethics, and maybe to go back to the main theme, when we talk about artificial intelligence, many questions come into our minds. For example, one may ask, what is artificial intelligence? And what is its implication to the academic world, specifically the academic integrity? One may also ask, what is the difference between artificial intelligence and human intelligence? What about artificial intelligence from the technological horizons? What about artificial intelligence if we look at it from the perspective of ethics and economics? Some of these
happens and is received by you. Most of the times, do we give it much attention as we should? That's why Capuchin TV is bringing you this health program every Friday, starting from 9 a.m. to help you embark on the journey to wellness and living a healthy life. It is important to point out that mental health is more about wellness than sickness. Self-care is not selfish. Some of the factors that can make a big difference in health wellness are diet, enough rest, exercise, posture, and avoiding use of alcohol. Enjoy this conversation with me, Maureen Kimani, every Friday from 9 a.m. on our Health Corner show here at Capuchin TV. Your health is your wealth.
Thank you for joining us yet on another episode on our Health Corner show right here on Capuchin TV with me, Maureen Kimani. It's good to have you here yet again on our program. Happy New Year to all of you, and thank you for tuning in. And as you can see down below on your title, our conversation today being youth and mental health. We all have heard about the stories that have been happening in our country for the past 2 weeks, I would say. The killing of our young people, our youth, and some, a young girl from Mangata who took away her life. What is happening to our youth of today? Is it because that we're not paying attention to their behavior? Is it because that it's because of parental issues? We would love to understand more, and of course to know what can we do to help them to ensure that they are held mental health as well, given that opportunity. And today we embark on an exploration of challenges, traumas, and the conversation surrounding the well-being of our young minds. So, background as we navigate that diverse landscape of youth and mental health, and of which you're going to, understand more, seek understanding, and by fostering compassion and promoting positive change to the lives of our future leaders. So welcome to the conversation, and if you'd love to share your thoughts to us, you can do that on 0717-424-866, or you can use our SMS number that is 21760. Welcome to our conversation, and as you all know that I don't do this alone, we have beautiful women here and a gentleman here with us. And I'll just give them time to tell us who they are and where they are from, beginning with Veronica. Hello, first of all, to all of you.
Hello.
You're all doing great. And Happy New Year, by the way. So Veronica, kindly introduce yourself to our viewer.
Thank you, Maureen. Maureen, for having me once again on the show. My name is Veronica Zilani, a mental health practitioner.
It's good to have you here again on another episode, on another year, and thank you for making time.
Welcome.
Yes, moving on, I think ladies first, we have Mercy.
Thank you. I'm Mercy Njoroge, for the student at Square, and also the communication officer at Scouts Healing Invisible Wounds.
Thank you for making time too here. It's your first time having you. Oh, second time. Wow, okay.
Thank you. My name is Cedric Nanda. I'm the Partnership and Resource Organization Officer of Scouts Healing Invisible Wounds.
Kindly, because you've said and introduced yourself as a people from the group of Scouts Healing Invisible Wounds. Be someone for that person who doesn't understand what you guys do. Kindly tell us what is all about the Scouts Healing Invisible Wounds.
Okay, Scouts Healing Invisible Wounds is a program under the Kenya Scouts Association that deals with mental health amongst the youth. So our focus is actually to eradicate the stigma that surrounds mental health and normalize the conversations around it. Yes, that's our main focus here.
Okay, amazing. Thank you for the good work, by the way, that you're doing, and may God bless you. Well, let's now begin with a conversation, Veronica. We've been talking about mental health. For those people who don't understand what is mental health, could you kindly give us a brief view of mental health and tell us why is it important for one to, take care of their mental health?
Yeah, thank you very much, Maureen. Now, I'm happy because this is not the first time we're talking about mental health, and I'm very happy that we have youth on the show to even elaborate this further. Now, mental health is a state of well-being that informs our adaptation. Of course, as a species, we must adapt to the environment, and that includes our ability to manage stress, our ability to interact with other people, our ability to work, to learn, and to contribute positively to the society. So mental health is the state of well-being that informs all that. And why it is important for us to understand about mental health now, remember it is informing our adaptation. Because as a species, for us to continue procreating and manage ourselves, we need to be able to maximize our adaptation. So when we learn about our mental health and when we understand what exactly mental health is, we are able to manage ourselves, work well, become productive, and also survive with these stressors of life. You started by introducing somebody who jumped from a certain floor, So there was things that were affecting this person that she was not able to manage. So this is why we really need to understand our mental health, and then we are able to cope with life. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that elaboration. And I think you can talk about a little bit, because you've been dealing with the youth, advocating for mental health. Why is it important for us to advocate and create awareness for the youth?
It is important because there is so much stigma, and it hasn't been embraced in Kenya the way it has been in other countries. So basically, we don't know much about mental health, and it has a stigma of if you have such a condition, then you must be cursed, you must be, you're not okay, you're just not okay. So it is important to create this awareness and advocate for it, to make people know that just like physical health, mental health is important, and it affects each and every one of us. If it doesn't affect you directly, then indirectly. And each and every one of us, from the tiniest of the stress, we can be victims. So we don't have to stigmatize it like it's something that's so foreign. Yeah.
All right. And I remember last year when we were talking about men's and mental health, I think we said and cited that it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay for men to cry, by the way. And I think this question goes to Cedric. How do you think the current societal environmental, impact the mental health of today's youth?
Okay. Today's youth, I think about what we're talking about, normalizing the conversations about it. So there are these cultural pressures that come around the mental health issues, which we need to do away with. We need to, like Marcia said, we need to normalize normalize mental health, making it like a normal, it's a normal illness, not something that is unheard of, like a taboo, the way some communities would call it. So when it becomes a normal thing, I think the cultural pressures that surround it will, will be done away with.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm sure, Veronica, you'd love to add, because you're an expert, and I know that you've been in the field for more than 10 years, right, if I remember. I think you can talk to us. What do you think about even academic pressures and economic uncertainty? As we talk about economic, we know our country, the NHIF, all the deductions. I think you can talk about that.
Well, I'd like to start by understanding who are youth. And the youth are between 18 to 40 years. Now, these are people who, according to psychodynamic theories of development, they're in the stage that we call intimacy versus isolation. So these are people who are trying to create sustainable, intimate relationships versus being isolated. Now, look at the determinants of mental wellness. We talk about biological, psychological, and social. We have socioeconomic issues that we are facing currently. We have biodiversity issues currently. We have a lot of issues currently that are challenging this person's ability, according to their developmental milestone, which is supposed to be intimacy versus isolation, for them to be stable. So the youth are facing a lot of challenges in a time when they're supposed to be exploring something. Remember, they're the most productive age group. They're the most energetic age group. There's a Bible verse in Proverbs that says, the strength of a young man, it's something like the vitality of a young man is in his strength. That's what we're saying, they're the most productive age group. So if a person is not able to, find a society where they can feel like they're able to manage, to contribute positively to the society, then definitely their mental health is challenged. That is why you talked about socioeconomic pressure. Surely you are at your most prime, and then here is bills, here is the economy is not favoring you, here is, as he said, sociocultural implications, So the youth actually, I believe, they're the most vulnerable age group when it comes to mental challenges. Yeah.
Okay, and Mercy, do you feel that the parents and the people or the society that doesn't pay more attention to youth well-being? Do you think you're not heard?
I wouldn't say we're not heard really, but I'd say they don't know much about mental health and everything surrounding it. So if we are advocating for mental health, I have to start from the very roots to start explaining what is this mental health, what does it entail, what surrounds it, how do we go about dealing with it. And for them to start coming around these terms and noticing these things, they have to go through education, literally. You have to tell them step by step. And some of the signs I would say they need to look out for those parents out there who don't know that maybe their children are going through mental health issues and they don't know what signs to look for. We start having behavioral changes. We start having sleeping problems, mood swings, eating problems. Either I eat too much, eat too little. I'll become isolated. My mom was actually complaining. I was a very outgoing child, and then I became very isolated. And then there are people who just start engaging in risky behaviors, drug and substance abuse, sexual violence, aggression, all those kind of things.
Thank you very much for that, Mercy. And talking about the youth, as you defined about it, it's from the age group between 18 to 35. These are the people who have social media accounts. They have the TikTok, they have the Instagram, they have the Facebook, name it all. What do you think, or what is the role of the social media in terms of, creating awareness of the well-being of mental health for the youths? Because we know we have the positive and the negative impact of it. Yes, I think, Cedric, you can answer that.
Social media, it's good and bad at the same time. It has the positive and the negative side, like you said. So I think this is something that we have to face in a multifaceted kind of approach, because so that we can maximize on the benefits of it and actually try to reduce on the risks that are involved in the social media itself. So okay, in this case, there are good things that happen in the social media. There are the advocacies that take place there. There are, encouragements. There are pages you can follow in different places, like, of course, our page, Counseling Invisible Wounds. Yeah, you can find good content there that can encourage you. But again, at the same time, there are people who are using the same platform, who are not considerate of other people's thoughts, feelings, and everything. So they might use it for the wrong purpose. Yes. So again, empowerment in how to use the social media. What content you need to consume. If it's an underage, maybe how can it be regulated? On what the content they are taking from the media. So yeah, I think that's the approach we need to take in this case. Yes.
All right, and I can see Veronica nodding your head. I'm sure you have something to talk about, because I've ever experienced scenarios, and we all see about even celebrities taking a social media break. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I want to start by referring to CBS News. This was November last year, where Meta was accused of deliberately, hooking young people to tech addictive sites. Now, Meta is owning Facebook and Instagram. Why were these parents on the streets, trying to advocate for the rights of the adolescent? Why are we starting by hooking the adolescents? When we go back to developmental stages, these are the most easily influenced members of our society. It's very easy to get their minds hooked on something. And social media is addictive, Maureen. Almost maybe everybody here has TikTok, has Facebook, has Instagram. And sometimes, even nowadays, when you look at even mental health in the family, we are in families where we have our dinner table, the food is on the table, but everybody is on. So we are a bit addicted to something. So when it comes to the young people, because of the vulnerability the young people have, it becomes very easy to have them hooked. It's an addictive. Technology is addictive nowadays. Social media is one of the most addictive techs we have. So the young people are getting very hooked, and one of the effects that is coming from there is, number one, indoctrination. There are a lot of things, as he said, that are available to young people without censorship. So the young people are getting hooked. I remember there was a story on TV, on Citizen News. There was this lady who was saying that her son ended up killing her brothers because of watching certain movies. And that story really went viral. What is happening is there is a lot of indoctrination. There's a lot of things that are available on social media. There's a lot of comparison, strife, competition. We don't even know if what the celebrities are showing us is true. But as young people, because we are very vulnerable, when we see Maureen has bought V8 and we were in the same class with Maureen, I also need to get that V8. So there's a lot of that is also affecting the mental wellness of the young population. Yes.
And I think I would love to add on something that you have talked about, technology. And I remember watching a certain story and people mentioning that in some era back in the days, there was no Airbnb, not because we didn't know about it. And then you see about the talk that you mentioned about the socialite certificate, modern culture, status level. You want to be, felt and fit in a certain class. So I think that statement brings us to the second or the third question. What are some of the causes of the mental health issues affecting the young people? And I think mostly because they've been able to, advocate mental health and they've been able to engage with the young people. I'm sure you can be able to take that and share your stories in your journey.
Some of the causes.
Yes, exactly.
There are no actual causes that we can say, but there are risk factors that predispose us to mental illnesses, such as genetics, the environment you're in. If you're in a very negative environment, you're prone to get mental health issues. But that does not mean if you're in a good environment, you won't have them also. The upbringing, how your parents brought you up, the kind of people you hang around. Physical illnesses can also cause mental illnesses, academic pressures. The peer support groups, if they're not well directed, they can also lead to some of those. I think you can help me before I compose myself.
Okay, you Cedric, because I wanted us to talk about, before you take it over, Cedric, about the relationship that we have, because most of the killings that we have witnessed in our countries, as 2 weeks ago, all revolves around, relationship, either drug abuse and alcohol. So what do you think about that, Cedric?
Okay. So, that drug abuse is another challenge in the country currently. And I think it's also affecting the, mental well-being of most young people. Because just to add on what she was saying first, the pressures that bring about these mental illnesses, they are diverse, and like she said, they might not be the same. My problems are not your problems. We face different challenges. Like currently, even we have the economic factors that are affecting us. There's some people who are living well, and there's some people who are suffering at the same time. So they cannot be the same. So about the relationships we are talking about. I think the young people are misled currently, and that's why we are coming out as young people to put our voice out there and encourage our peers about what is going on. We don't take our time to build relationships with people. Well, that's why you're seeing the scenarios of the Airbnbs that you're talking about. These people, they don't take time to know whoever they're dealing with first. I think it's a little, luxuries here and there. You're promised a little luxuries here and there. Sometimes you go for that without, thinking about the relationship you want to build with the person. So I think that's one challenge that we are going through right now. And, there's also hidden pressures that come about with that, of course. Maybe due to the economic situation currently, maybe somebody wants an easy way out, but there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut. You just have to get what you work for. Yes.
Yes, Veronica, as an expert, what do you have to comment on that?
I'd say in those scenarios, Maureen, we have two types of people. We have the victim and we have the perpetrator. I want to look at the perpetrator closely. When you look at all the incidences that have been coming on TV, there's a trend, Maureen. Once we identify one perpetrator, then there is a stream of women, like in this case it has been women. Forgive me, I'm not saying that men don't get victimized. But once we have gotten a perpetrator, there is a stream of women coming out to say that I went through the same thing with this man. I went through the same thing with this man. What is this? What element is this? When we were talking back about addiction in May last year, Maureen, we talked about addiction not being about substance use only. We talked about addiction being a compulsive and obsessive condition, characterized by obsession and compulsion, indulgence in mood-altering chemicals or behaviors. So sometimes even these perpetrators, some of them are addicted to what they are doing. There is a thrill that is coming with what they are doing. So they keep doing it from one person to the next, and then what is the high? Maybe sometimes it is the money, because you can see, like in the case of one of the men, I won't mention the name, who was actually soliciting money from his victims. Yes. So the high here, the end product was the getting the money from the victims, plus there is that thrill that comes with harassing people. If we had all the time, we would try and understand the psychology of crime. Just understand how do people get a high from indulging in criminal behaviors. But aside from the crime issue, as my brother said, there is also the societal pressure. There is also the wanting to belong. And nowadays we have a problem where, Maureen, the society is praising the end, not the means to the end. You know, the society back then, with our parents and the older generation, they were praising the means to the end. The society of today is praising the end and not taking care of the means. So the young people have gotten to a point where they're like, you know, you don't have to know how I get my money, so long as you see me with the money. And that is affecting the young people immensely. So I'd say that, and also the addiction to crime, those two are really contributing to what we are seeing happening currently. Yes.
That, because I don't know if Cedric, you'd love to say something, or Mercy, before we take a very short break.
I also had a feeling that the way people are reacting to rejection has been a factor in this. Because if I tell a man I'm not interested and they decide to kill me, what can I do about it?
Okay. Yeah, can happen. Guess Cedric.
I'm good at the moment. Yes.
All right.
Maybe I might add something.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Veronica.
Yeah, what she mentioned is actually the reality that we have, where we have a lot of people working with mental illnesses without knowing. Because the inability to cope with rejection can indicate that somehow, somewhere, there is a psychological problem that has not been dealt with. So again, comes back to what we're discussing. It's very important for us to understand our mental health status, very important for us to understand what are we going through so that we're able to cope and adapt better with life, yes.
Well, I love that. And we continue to say that mental health is very important, whether you're working, whether you're at home, whether it's, you know, your relationship with your friends. Take note, and in case you may feel that you're not feeling well, you have those behavioral changes, Veronica is here. She's an expert. You can always approach her or, contact us at Capuchin TV, and we can, refer to you to Veronica, and she can be able to help. And with that, we're going to take a very short break, but when we come back, we shall add more on how can communities, how can society, how can church, support you in our church? Because I'm sure the church plays a very big role in our society, and I think they can be able to help, our youth and make sure that their mental well-being is well reserved. And with that, we're going to take a very short break. And in case you would love to share your thoughts or you have a question, you can do that on 071-7424-866, or you can use our SMS number, that is 21760. Stay tuned.
Enjoy this conversation with me, Maureen Kimani, every Friday from 9 a.m. on our Health Corner show here at Capuchin TV. Your health is your wealth. Capuchin TV.
Forward ever, backward never. Let us move ahead and so on. Even children, kuna kakitu tunaweza kufanya ili kanisa iweze kumetameta.
Endelea kutazama Capuchin TV, kitambulisho Katoliki.
No hay que tenerle miedo a la diversidad de carismas en la iglesia. Al contrario, hay que alegrarse de vivir esta diversidad. Ya en las primeras comunidades cristianas, diversidad y unidad estaban muy presentes y era una tensión. que debe resolverse en un plano superior. Más aún, para avanzar por el camino de la fe, necesitamos también el diálogo ecuménico con los hermanos y hermanas de otras confesiones y comunidades cristianas. No como algo que confunde o que molesta, sino como un regalo que Dios hace a la comunidad cristiana para que crezca como un solo cuerpo, el cuerpo de Cristo. Pensemos, por ejemplo, en las iglesias orientales. Tienen unas tradiciones propias, unos ritos litúrgicos característicos, pero mantienen la unidad de la fe, la refuerzan, no la dividen. Si nos guiamos por el Espíritu Santo, la riqueza, la variedad, la diversidad nunca provocan un conflicto. El Espíritu nos recuerda que ante todo somos hijos amados de Dios, todos iguales en el amor de Dios y todos diferentes. Oremos al Espíritu Santo para que nos ayude a reconocer el don de los diferentes carismas dentro de las comunidades cristianas y a descubrir la riqueza de las diferentes tradiciones rituales dentro de la Iglesia Católica.
Capuchin TV.
Tumetoka mbali, bado tuko mbali na tunaenda wapi? Mbali.
Endelea kutazama Capuchin TV, huduma Katoliki ya uinjilishaji. Enjoy this conversation with me, Maureen Kimani, every Friday from 9 a.m. on our Health Corner show here at Capuchin TV. Your health is your wealth.
Hello dear viewer, welcome back to our Health Corner show with me, Maureen Kimani, right here on Capuchin TV, as we bring you a conversation about a provoking one on the youth and mental health. And welcome back to our second part for those ones who are joining us right now. And I'd love to start with the Bible verse, that is Proverbs 20 verse 29. And Veronica was able to bring it up in our first session, and it says, the glory of young men is their strength, and the beauty of old men is the gray head. Maybe she can be able to elaborate that to us. And thank you very much for tuning and for staying tuned to our conversation here today. And welcome back to our conversation and to you, my guest today here. Yeah, let's continue with the conversation. But Veronica, I think you can elaborate further on that Bible verse. What does it mean? Because we heard about the gray head. We all know what that means.
The bit that I wanted to capture there is the first part of Proverbs 20:29 about the glory of young men being in their strength. Remember, we said they're the most productive age group, 18 to 40 years. Biologically, psychologically, they're the most productive age group. Even the Bible is showing us that they're the most productive age group. So the young people are rushing to maximize their productivity at the expense of everything else in the society that is, contraindicating that or countering that. So, yeah, that is why we are seeing young people vulnerable to mental health issues. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And still on you, I think you can be able to tell us, how can parents recognize signs of mental health from our young people, individuals?
Yeah, thank you very much, Maureen. My friend here had mentioned it. There is a lot of behavioral changes that occurs when our young people are, changing, they are getting into mental health challenges. One of the things that parenting needs to focus on is the transition, the milestones of the young people. Parents have been with these people for, I believe, for a long period of time. They're able to tell when a person's behaviors has started, raising eyebrows. And she mentioned things like isolation, overeating or not eating at all, reduced conversation. Some of the young people, when they start facing challenges, they even stop talking. Are they always hooked on their phones? Is there physical problems that they're always complaining of headaches? They're always complaining of indigestion. Is there reduced productivity? Like maybe this person used to be very productive, maybe in school or even at work, and all of a sudden your young person is not. Maybe they're even having these workplace problems. Ameshinda akipewa, suspensions even in school. Is there a drop in performance, in academic performance, like your child or your young person, because 18 years they're in college or high school, isn't it? Like your young person was performing, but all of a sudden they have dropped. And then also, what type of people are they hanging out with nowadays? Do you even know their friends, or are they hiding? There's an age group that starts hiding friends. You used to know who they used to walk with, they used to eat with, they used to be with. All of a sudden, they don't even want you to know who enters their room, who is coming home, whom they are going to see out there, because they know once you see them, you will be able to suspect something. So again, the behavioral indicators, and then also the biological indicators. One of the things that affects girls most is biological indicators. They're either not eating or overeating. It's very, very, evident. And in biological factors, we also have the substance indulgence. Ameanza kuvuta sigara, ameanza kukunywa pombe, ameanza mira, anafunga room sana, ndio don't get access into the room. Are they also overspending? All of a sudden, nowadays, they demand for money as if they're feeding another family in the room. So, yes, all those indicators. And society needs to be together. To be together, I mean the collaboration between teachers, parents, the neighbors, the church. Kitambo mtoto alikuwa analelewa na nani? Community.
The community, yeah.
Sasa siku hizi mtoto ni wangu tu.
Yeah.
Maureen, ukiniambia mtoto wangu alifanya kitu, ninaanza kuchukia wewe badala nijaribu kuelewa what you saw. Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for that. Cedric, do you have to add anything from whatever Veronica has talked about? Because I know it's dealing with you, the youth, and you've been able to advocate and meet and explore and have this kind of conversation with your youth in your work.
Yeah. Okay, maybe just to add on that, there is also the signs of aggression. Like there's this case of some boy who died by suicide in Mombasa, Old Town, the other day. What was reported was that he was showing signs of aggression at home. So the parents decided to, book an hotel room for him to go, stay there, to stay there away from the family because he was bringing the aggression at home. So, now that he was alone, I think, he gets he gets overwhelmed by his thoughts. So that's how he ended up there. So actually, I think when you notice those behavioral change, the approach you take is very important sometimes. So maybe seek help, if maybe go to a therapist, a counselor, if possible, instead of blaming the person before getting to know what caused the behavioral change. Yes.
Thank you very much, Cedric, for that. And Mercy, I remember when you started your introduction, you talked about that you're a student at Kwaya University, correct? And what do you think communities and schools can do to collaborate with mental health professionals to ensure that they create a good environment for young people who are, going through certain things in life?
I think they can come together. The practitioners can come into schools, train the educationers, so that they can also have the basics of dealing with the issues. Because, as he has said, most most people who are taking care of us, after they start noticing the behavioral changes, the blame is on us. And it's not up to us to behave that way. There is something that's influencing us. So them being trained is very important. They should also incorporate trainings in the community and in schools. Peer groups should be created in schools. For example, we've seen mental health clubs being introduced in schools. They will help in creating peer supports. If I'm well informed in this field, I could also inform another person who will inform another person. So this will help in creating awareness. Also creating awareness, whether physically, through social media, through printing banners. Yes.
All right. Yes, Cedric, I can see your microphone is already on.
So again on that, I think we also need to bring on board the professionals, like the counselors in school. I notice most schools actually have just the teachers within the schools as the guidance and counseling in charge, you know. So maybe a student will feel uncomfortable. Go approach the teacher because, you know, you're the same person who will still come to class to teach me. But when you have somebody who is totally, you know, in a different field, not a teacher, just a counselor, I think it will be easier to go face them. So maybe the government should also consider that, putting professionals in those fields to be in charge of taking care of those students, as well as the community, of course, to encourage the students, you know, if you have a problem, you can find a safe space in me, or, you know, go see the counselor in school, yes, or in church. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Cedric, for that. Veronica, I think we can talk about this femicide, as people are calling it. What do you think, because most of the girls are at the university, right? And sometimes you find that the kids who are at the university, they don't spend a lot of time with their parents, so they are at schools. How can parents ensure that they follow up their kids to know their well-being? You know, what do you think should be done by the parents?
Okay, thank you very much, Maureen, for that question. Unfortunately, a lot of African families are dysfunctional. What I mean by dysfunctional is the fact that we're living at home. We know dad is a disciplinarian. We know mom just comes and, you know, like some of the parents are unapproachable right from a very, very tender age. Now, if you've been unapproachable at a very tender age, don't expect this person to become open when they grow up. There's that gap that is there in our families, and a lot of life coaches nowadays, because there's a profession called coaching. A lot of life coaches nowadays are training young people on parenting. And why is this parenting very important? Because we need to realize that the family being the basic unit of socialization, we need to start this outreach, this openness there at a very, very tender age. Are our children able to approach us with anything? Are we friends to our children, or are we dictators to our children? Because when you are brought up by a dictator, when you're brought up in a dysfunctional family, there are unspoken rules. Unspoken rule number 1 is you keep your feelings to yourself. Unspoken rule number 2 is men don't cry. Unspoken rule number 3 is dad akiingia, maybe nyi mnaenda kulala, mama nasavia dad. You know, like there are a few things that are happening in our families, not because our parents don't want us to grow up well, but because that is how they were also nurtured. Yes. So what is happening nowadays with life coaching and even therapists who are marital therapists, family therapists, they're trying to encourage the parents to understand the role parenting plays even in mental health, so that these children, right from a very tender age, they know that mom is my friend, dad is my friend. So even when they grow up, last time we mentioned something about the Oedipus and Electra complex and how the relationships, of course, affect the young people as they're coming up. So if, let's say, I am a young girl and my father is close to me, and then I meet this guy who I've started maybe talking to, or we've started having a relationship with, you know, I'm able to go back to my dad and discuss this with dad. Like, I met Mr. So-and-so, ako hivi. And then dad, because he's a man, is able to start maybe picking able to tell me, no, hapa ninaona red flag. Yes, I can see a red flag here. So you see this child, hata kama ako university, we are still close. You know, if it's me and my dad, and I'm in university and my dad was close to me right when I was growing up, then I'm still able to communicate to my dad and tell my dad, I met a guy. Maybe dad is able to encourage me and tell me, maybe let's go for lunch with your male friend. Yes, or bring him home. At least there the parents are able to pick red flags that me as a young person, I'm not able to see. But now if my parents are so tough, we don't ask such questions. You grow up. There is this myth when we were growing up. It's not really a myth, but it used to be very common that usiongeleshe wavulana. So you grew up knowing nisiongeleshe nini? Wavulana. But hujaniambia kwa nini nisiongeleshe wavulana. So I grow up, I don't really know what is surrounding this, and then I'm in the university, ship in the big city. And then the university is flooded with wavulana.
Now you got to find out.
I've got to find out why I was being told, usiongeleshe wavulana. Na pia, okay, there is a lot that even goes on in those universities that needs a lot of support from parents. So my professional advice would be, create the home as an environment where the heart is. We can always come back home. We can always discuss this. We can always say, I'm going through this. And even if it was not there when your children were growing up, start inculcating it now. Go for family outings. You know, those things bond you. And then yata national park ni 250 kuingia, Kenyan citizen. Go there with your family and just bond outside the home. Because when you're in a new environment, it creates bonding psychologically. So just go bond. Your children will start becoming more open. So let it start from the family. And now the educators will now be able to come in, and the rest of the society will be able to come in. Yes.
Very true. And I think I can add something on that. Veronica, you have talked about, because you've ever been in a situation where your friends came to share something to you, and then you're like, have you talked to your parents? And then you feel you are overwhelmed yourself and you cannot be able to give them advices. But they say, you know what? No, I can't tell my mom. She's going to be, you know. I don't know if yourself have experienced that. Okay, but I hope that with this conversation, the parents and the educators and the peers will be able to take a step after this and help these young people. Well, and Mercy, what about for the youth who are not free and they have maybe cases and they feel they're not comfortable, but they don't have someone to talk to? What do you think should be done?
Most people don't want to talk about things because they feel like they're not safe enough with a person. I might tell you, Maureen, and then the next minute I'm hearing all your friends talking about it. The good thing about nowadays, though, is we have practitioners who are trained and ethically professional to maintain confidentiality. So if you have one of these challenges, you can approach a practitioner. If not, we have mental health advocates like myself and Cedric and the SHU group and other so many groups which you can approach. We are also very confidential and also very welcoming. If you have difficulty in approaching a person, we have online therapists. So you can go online, look for a good therapist there and have your therapy there. You can also do something we call journaling. That is when you take your book and a pen and write whatever feelings you have down there. And no one will know about it because by the end of the day, it's yours.
All right, thank you very much. And before we continue with the conversation, allow me to read a comment here. And it's like the person is agreeing with whatever Veronica has been talking about. Anasema ni Mswahili, anasema naitwa Felix, na watazameni mpo vizuri. Mimi nahisi hili swala japo pia kwa ushawishi mwingi sana na mapungufu ya kibinadamu, wapo wazazi na walezi wa karibu kukosa kuelewesha watoto wao umuhimu wa mambo fulani kwenye maisha. Wazazi wengi sio marafiki ya watoto wao, wameshindwa kuwafundisha kwamba kupata na kukosa yote sehemu ya maisha, na kukosa sio hukumu ya mwisho wa maisha. Wow, that's a very nice comment. Thank you, Felix, for following this conversation. Yes, Cedric, what do you have to say about that? Amesema kukosa sio mwisho.
Yeah, it's true. Like I said earlier, you know, there's no shortcut sometimes. It's not good to take shortcuts sometimes. Just, you know, keep encouraging yourself that you are trying, whatever you are trying. You know, every day at the same place where you started. You know, sometimes over the years, at the end of the year, sometimes look back. To say maybe whether there's some things I had prayed for and I've actually got them, you know.
Okay.
I'm not at the same place that I was earlier. So you keep trying so that you get to where you want to be. Yes, so kukosa, vile amesema kukosa sio mwisho.
Sio mwisho, kabisa, kwa kweli. And now moving on, what happened to the role of the peers in our society? Because I remember when we were growing up, we used to, after breaking up for the holiday, we used to be taken to our aunties' places. That's where we used to go and, you know, spend time, you know, share stories about how cool it is. But nowadays you find, after closing, the kids are just indoors. You know, you have to watch your movies, you have the Wi-Fi, do your research, but there's not that interaction. Do you think, again, the parents are feeling on this, Veronica?
I don't want us to put a lot of
pressure on them.
A lot of pressure on the parents, because they are also practicing what they picked. But now we are in a changing society. That is why mental health practitioners are also training young parents to know how to parent, because you know, our parents were parenting in those centuries. Now the world is very fast-paced currently, and that is why you're seeing people killing themselves, because they don't have this and that. They don't have this and that, because dunia ya siku hizi fast-paced, iko mbio sana. You know, iko mbio sana, and everybody is rushing to keep up with the pace of the world. I like what Catholic institutions do, because most of the Catholic high schools and institutions, they have mental health programs. They have either a counselor on board, they have you know, groups like, you know, their group. They have many advocates inside the institution, because the church is able to recognize the importance of the mental health aspect in the growth of the young generation. Yeah. The peer groups are very important, and peer educators are very important, but also it's also very important to realize that it's good to also go beyond your peer level, because let me elaborate this. If I am a 21-year-old, you know, I cannot go to a 21-year-old for advice. Yes. Professionally, my 21-year-old friend is also going through what I'm going through. Yes. And the advice they're going to be able to give me is only limited to the scope of their reasoning. But if I am able to get a much more mature person, maybe even my 40-year-old dad or my, you know, then they're able to also add a little bit further from what my peer was able to help me with. So the peer groups are very important, but also let's also look at how we can be able to access the more mature people. There's a program we were trying to start. It is called mentorship. And in the mentorship program we were trying to start, we are still on the process of it. It is also being able to link the older generation and the new generation, because there is a gap. They are not linked. That is why we are saying parents are not friends to their children. There's a discord. So what if we had programs where we have these moments where, when you're growing up, you saw this on teens magazines, za wazungu, like daddy daughter dance, ati I don't know, mommy daughter day. They're not just days where people go to eat and do what. They're mentorship programs where the young people, the older people are able to pass to the young people the knowledge they have. So if we had also such, then even the young people would be able to learn from the older people. And I want to emphasize something I said earlier, Maureen. Let us also encourage the means. let us support the means to the end. Let us stop praising the end. I've seen this thing with parents where me and Maureen were in the same school, okay? Now, Maureen, amenunua magari, amenunua mashamba, sijui fanya nini. So my parent comes and tells me, why are you not like Maureen? Maureen akona magari, akona mashamba, akona manini. But my parents also don't know how Maureen has gotten the mashamba, the magari end. So let's also praise the means to the end. If my child, yes, hajafikisha hizo hizo magari, mashamba na nini, but naona ana make progress, let's also praise that progress. Let's also encourage and support them through what they have been able to achieve. Because parents think that when they compare you, they are encouraging you. But sometimes they are affecting, and that is why you see people jumping from some floors to down, because where society is expecting them to be, they are not yet. And there is nobody seeing the little milestones that they're able to achieve. Yes.
Very true. Wow. Okay, thank you, Veronica, for that elaboration. And I want to mention about February National Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. I think you have come across about that. I think, Mercy, you can tell us more about the Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, where they just create awareness about teen dating and the importance of healthy relationship. I'm sure you've come across, people who are experiencing the narcissistic, disorders.
Oh yes, especially in campus. We have campus couples, campus married. I can't recall what we actually call them, but we have couples. We're actually
Couple
married,
goals.
but we are married, but we're in campus. We are sharing the same house. The man is beating me up like I'm the wife. So yeah, we've seen teen violence, and it's actually something that needs to be addressed. And I would really actually want to emphasize on putting emphasis on these days, the days that we celebrate mental health or advocate for mental health and teen violence dating, so that they can be embraced, to create awareness on this. Because I will come from a dysfunctional family. I've seen my mom being beaten by my dad. So if I come and start dating Cedric and he continues doing the same to me, I wouldn't know it's wrong. I've seen my mom being beaten, so to me that's a sign of being shown how much I'm being loved. So it's very necessary to create advocacy on this, and also take out on social media to create these posts, make people aware. If necessary, take all our cameras and then take on the streets and advocate for these things. I really hope we'll have something for February.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. And because time is up, I'd love to give you Cedric 1 minute, and Veronica, you can just wrap up on this conversation. So let's begin with Cedric.
Okay, so like you said, mental illnesses, are a complex interaction between the biological, psychological, social, and cultural factors. So when we find a balance in all this, I think we'll have limited experiences or limited cases of the same, because when one is when the degree of one will determine how strong or how weak whatever the person is going through will experience. So we need to find a balance between all those things: the biological, psychological, social, and the cultural factors. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Cedric, for that. Yes, Veronica,
Yeah,
last but not least.
He's put it very wonderfully. Mine is to call on the society. This solution is individual effort, societal effort, and so I want to call on the society. Let us have avenues where people can go and talk. There's some time back here, I still spoke on this show, and I called on our churches, our individual churches, parishes, and all that. Let's have these social welfare offices. Let's have places where the young people can just walk in and talk. People can just walk in and talk, and have these therapists ready, so that at least we are going to improve a lot on our mental health. And congratulations, Capuchin TV. This is amazing. That people can actually be able to learn and understand, and from there know where to seek help.
Health.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. And mine is to say that the conversation of youth and mental health doesn't end here. It continues in our homes, schools, and communities. So let's break the stigma, build bridges and understanding, and give support the mental health well-being of, the mental well-being of our youth. Thank you very much to all of our viewers who have been staying tuned to our conversation. Thanks to Felix Juma for your comment. And thanks to my panelists today, Veronica, Marcy, and Cedric. Thank you for making time, and say hi to the Scouts Healing Invisible Wound team. Thank you very much to the team that has been behind the scene. We have Kelvin Zisa, Eric Otieno, Justus Okari, Alan Andiva, and Effie. God bless you too. And I'm wishing you a very blessed day. See you next time. Bye-bye. My name is Maureen Kimani.
Enjoy this conversation with me, Maureen Kimani, every Friday from 9 a.m. on our Health Corner show here at Capuchin TV. Your health is your wealth. Capuchin TV.
Forward ever, backward never. Let us move ahead and so on. Even children, kuna kakitu tunaweza kufanya ili kanisa iweze kumetameta.
Endelea kutazama Capuchin TV, kitambulisho Katoliki.